How y'all are this afternoon? This is your buddy George Jones over here at the Bergen Gun Range with my next installment on, hey, I got this old used gun. The old used gun I got today is this guy. No, it's not a U.S. carbine. This is the Universal Manufacturing, Hialeah, Florida. This comes about as close to being a U.S. 30 caliber carbine as a Commando Arms Mark III or a volunteer carbine comes to being a Thompson. Do you see some surplus parts on it? Yeah, you do. But for the most part, it's a, well, I'd almost call it a replica, just to tell you the truth. It has very little, other than the appearance of it, has very little to do with actually being a 30 caliber carbine. Now, it is a gas-operated rifle, but let's take it from looking at it overall. The front sight assembly is new made. The barrel is new made. It's not made to mil spec at all. This top cover is ventilated sheet metal, which is not GI spec. I don't think the front band is either. The op rod and charging handle is definitely punched out of sheet metal. Maybe it's heat treated, maybe it isn't. The receiver is not made just exactly like a mil-spec receiver would be made. The rear sight is like the one on my Korea issue carbine, but it's slightly different. The butt plate looks like it's a 30 caliber carbine GI butt plate. It's cut out. Of course, the sling and oiler, is, well, it's a sling and oiler. The trigger group contains what appears to be some GI parts. Now, I'm not going to take it apart. YouTube doesn't like for you to show gunsmithing and assembly, so I'm not going to do it. The trigger group appears to be a GI style milled one, but in reality, it's made out of pot metal. It's made out of aluminum. So it's basically a remake of the 30 caliber carbine using mostly new commercial parts. Now, the Universal carbine came about 1962-63, and they were a manufacturer that manufactured a version of the 30 caliber carbine with and without US GI parts. As parts became available on the market, they would convert and use those parts. When those parts went out and you couldn't get those anymore, they would start manufacturing parts of their own or having them manufactured. These guys were around all the way up to about 1983, and they went out of business and somebody bought them and started doing something else. But they do work. The thing about it is, they do work. The Universal typically works. If you look at a Universal carbine, there's a cutout inside the wood, and there's a plastic filler right here. The purpose of that plastic filler is to take up the space in the stock that would be there if you had installed Universal's scope mount on it. So this receiver has got 4 holes drilled in it that are threaded to accept the Universal scope mount, so you can put some kind of a rifle scope on it. A 30 caliber carbine, an M1 carbine, by definition is not what you'd call a long range weapon. But some people like to have scopes on them. I got a scope on a 22 rifle. It's, you like get that pinpoint accuracy, marksmanship, aiming capability with a scope that you don't get with replica GI sights. So with that all in mind, we're going to shoot this guy and see how it actually shoots. I don't choke to death first. Let's get a 10-round magazine here. Now, this guy doesn't see the magazine good unless you pull back on the bolt. Once you pull back on the bolt, then you seat the magazine. The safety on it is here, lever type, similar to late war or Korean 1950s period change in a lever safety instead of a crossbolt safety. Original 30 caliber carbines, as they were originally manufactured in 1942-43, you know, had a cross bolt safety in them, you know, like a .22 rifle or pump shotgun. They later replaced that, and the reason why they replaced the cross bolt safety was people had a tendency to reach up here and try and put it on safe and drop their magazine out. So they did this, put that little lever switch safety on there. Get me some ear mufflers on here and give it a whirl. Let's see. Just aim it right down through here. Let's shoot that little bitty one first, see if I can hit it. And it hit it. We're shooting at the little 3.5 inch Mickey Mouse shaped steel target at 25 yards. And for some reason it didn't cycle. Got one in there? Yeah, I got one in there that time. Alright, let's try cycle that time. Let's see. Alright, let's try it again. I didn't like that much at all right there. Back there and gets a bill of that cap every time. Oh, much care for that. Let's do something else. There, I can't see nothing now. All right, let's try it. All right, that's empty. Put it down over here. Let's get a reload. Let's put about 10 more in it. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Let's get about 10 more in it. So, during the Korean period, they changed the way the ammunition came. They changed it to this style of stripper clip that has the stripper clip guide on board with the has a stripper clip guide on board. I can't see nothing without that bill. It has a stripper clip guide on board with the stripper. Okay? And that makes it really convenient because you don't have to look around for a stripper clip guide. The way this works is you take a hold of the stripper clip on one end and the guide on the other end and pull it out. Then you can take and install your stripper clip guide on the back of the magazine, just like that. Then you can just load that magazine. Right. Then you can just load that magazine. Now, the magazines hold 15, and the strippers come in increments of 10. Along about 1945, just before the end of the war, they came out with 30-round magazines. And these became to go into service just after the Battle of the Bulge. So you occasionally see war footage from World War II where the guy's got a 30 caliber carbine with a 30-round banana mag in it. They managed to, these magazines, the magazine update managed to get into the quartermaster supply stream after the bulge. So naturally in Korea they were there. In 1947 they come up with a way to make the 30 caliber carbine full auto without having to cut, modify, or change the action in any way. And that was pretty cool. That became the M2 carbine. The M2 carbine is basically a 30 caliber carbine modification to the US carbine caliber 30 M1 to make it into a, I don't know if you'd call it an assault rifle or a submachine gun, but it was kind of an intermediate between being an assault rifle and being a submachine gun. This ain't one of them. Got a long way from being one of them. All right, let's try this again one more time around through here. It's a little smoky. Of course, this stuff's... Yeah, boy, you can... All right, let's try the little 3-inch swinger again. That's good. Okay. Let's try one of those buffaloes down there that ain't very big at all. That worked pretty good. Well, if you get it out there. Like I said, they're not just exactly a GI carbine. Thing about the universal carbines is they typically all work, unless they don't. They typically all shoot straight, function correctly, and work. They have some problems. Occasionally you'll see this guy broke where the bolt cams in the op rod. Occasionally you'll see that broken. I've welded at least one of them back and it continued to work for a while. One of the problems it has is it has a new made gas piston blocks assembly that's welded on there instead of forged. Sometimes that weld will start to go. Sometimes the rings in that gas piston will start to go. Sometimes the strike block where the piston comes out and hits the front of the op rod to knock it to the rear. Sometimes the op rod will break. The value of this gun, just like it says, is somewhere around $250 or $300 in today's market. These guys were $69 when they sold new in the mid-1960s. They were just a rifle for somebody that wanted a 30 caliber carbine style gun. Pretty good gun overall, yeah. Defensive gun, yeah, it's a defensive rifle. It's definitely a defensive rifle, but the thing of it is, it's not the high quality gun that a USGI gun is, or that a Plainfield carbine is, or that an auto ordnance carbine is, or one of the Israeli remakes, you know. And believe it or not, there's a Beretta. You can actually find every once in a while you see a Beretta 30 caliber carbine, because the Italians used them, oh man, all the way up into the 90s as police patrol rifles. So, US 30 caliber carbine? Nope, it ain't. Serviceable as a 30 caliber carbine or as a 30 caliber carbine caliber rifle? Yeah, absolutely, to a certain extent. There's not a whole lot more you can say about it than that, but, you know, if you see one of these guys, you pick it up, $250, maybe $300 on the outside, you can go out and buy you a case of 30 caliber carbines generally and shoot them all up with it. It's a fun gun to shoot. All right, then, that's about the size of that. Old universal 30 caliber carbine. Like, take, share, commentate, and subscribe. Patreon link in the description. I actually got that out right. Getting pretty close to the 1,000 subscriber gun giveaway. Pretty close, actually. About 140 more people to go before we start. It's you. And like that. So thanks for watching my stuff, and I really enjoy doing this for you, and I'll see you when I see you.